Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Here to talk all things hockey are your hosts, Brad Crisco, Ryan Hanna, and Evan Lobsinger.
Imagine losing to the Red Wings. That's it. That's the opening.
That's the whole episode. Please send it to all of your friends who are fans of the Boston Bruins or the Montreal Canadiens. Thank you for tuning in today. Imagine losing to the Red Wings repeatedly. You know, the only team who should be doing that is the Red Wings, and they're quite good at it. But we are recording post-game right now, and Boston is 5 games back, or they're down 5 straight games against Detroit.
They've lost their last 5 games to the Red Wings. The 2018 to 2020 Detroit Red Wings.
Oh my God. That is the worst version of the Red Wings you could find in like the last 40 years. Quite bad.
And the best team, the statistical first place team in the entire NHL, has lost to them 5 times in a row.
That game was something else. Like they didn't look bad. Like Boston didn't look bad. They were setting up scoring chances and everything, but then they'd have like a wide open net and they would just completely whiff. Like, did they come to Detroit a day early and just, I don't know, go to Motor City Casino or something and just get completely obliterated? They were actually playing like they were hungover.
They were still drunk.
Usually that's good for teams against Detroit. You can be. They give them a complimentary beer when they come onto the bench.
Yeah, you're at least half in the bag. You still got a shot.
Speaking of half in the bag, Evan, how you doing, man?
I'm tired.
Everyone want today's saga of getting Evan to the podcast. Yesterday, message in the group chat. You guys down to record post game? The game's at 12:30. Brad and Evan both go, yeah, sure, that works for me. I have hockey at 8. They both have hockey at 8. Great. Brad shows up today near the end of the game. We wait like 20 minutes, and I'm like, all right, time for that text. Evan, what's your ETA? He goes, when are we going again? I was like,
I needed an explicit time. That's what I required.
And I was like, now, buddy, you said yes to that yesterday. And he goes, I didn't know if that meant 3 or 6.
Well, it could have been any time after the game.
To which I asked Evan, why would that be 6?
Because then that gives us like an hour and 20 minutes to record, and then Brad and I can both go to hockey.
So you like cutting things close and rushing out the door?
Oh, I get to hockey like 7 minutes before we're supposed to be on the ice.
It's just muscle memory for you at this point to want to be like a little bit late.
Yeah.
Figured you'd want to get there at least twice as early to prepare that stick of yours.
No. I get out there for the last 30 seconds of warm up, and it's perfect.
I'm still upset your name bar on that stick doesn't say Big Daddy.
I should have got that. I messed up.
I should get a custom stick. I wanted to say Big Umami. I want that to be my rap name.
Okay.
Yeah. Have I told you guys that one before?
Nope.
Big Umami is what I want to be casually referred to from now on. If you could please oblige by that.
We're definitely not going to do that.
I think you're contractually obliged to. Big Umami. What's yours? What's Evan's podcast rap name? I don't know. You guys tell us.
Just Ghost.
Just Ghost. Not Ghostface Killer, nothing like that. Just Ghost.
Ghost with a 0, though.
Yeah, I like it.
Ghosto?
Ghost with a 0 and a Z.
Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. I'm Ryan Hanna.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
You literally just walked into your own joke and missed it.
Nobody ever accused me of being funny. Ever. Certainly not you two. I'm so disappointed.
You want to start again?
Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. I'm Big Umami.
I'm disappointed.
And I'm Ghost.
All right, today on the podcast, we actually have 3 Red Wings games to talk about from last episode till now. And as Brad pointed out, from our last episode until now, the Red Wings have a winning record. That might be a first this season, and I'm not going back to check.
Yeah, because the Buffalo game was after our last episode, right?
Yes. Yeah, because we recorded on Wednesday night.
Hell yeah.
And actually, we have another Buffalo game before next episode.
Hell yeah.
So we have that. We are going to talk about some stuff that's happening around the league, internationally, maybe even relevant for Detroit down in the AHL. And then we're just going to chat a little bit more about everything else. But first, I want to give a shout out to show sponsors. First, RD Woodworking. Daniel Rossi from RD Woodworking is the one who built us this beautiful, gorgeous custom podcast table with our logo on it, with the light up. Oh, we didn't light it up this episode. That's okay. If you guys are watching on YouTube, check it out. That's rdwoodworking.ca. Please go check out his stuff. Incredible custom woodworker. Cannot thank him enough for doing this for us. So
This episode, we will light this table up as often as the red light has been lit up behind Jonathan Bernier lately.
not at all.
So we're not going to.
I also want to give a shout out to all of our Aussie friends who started the fundraiser for Australian wildlife and bushfire relief. Together, the Red Wings community raised 1,710 Australian dollars, which is really amazing. Obviously, the Red Wings community, the Red Wings Aussie community, is small but strong and strong of voice, especially a few of them. Really proud of all of you guys, and thank you to Red Wings fans and Winged Wheel podcast listeners for supporting the cause. They are donating the money to wildlife relief. I believe it's Kangaroo Island. My tweets aren't loading right now, so forgive me. But that's thanks to you guys. So good job, Red Wings. Good job, Hockey Town. And thanks for supporting our Australian friends. I will name all of you by name later when everything is loaded. And then finally, I want to thank Everett at Born to Dan Hart on Twitter, show sponsor. Lots of the giveaways happen through Everett, and also the giveaway for 2 tickets to the last game of the season that we are running with him. He is still, we're not drawing for that until the 14th. So go check out at Born to Dan Hart on Twitter to see how to enter for that giveaway. We're going to be at that game, and we're going to bring some listeners too. And maybe you'll win this giveaway. There's lots of ways you can win tickets to the last game against Tampa Bay. All right, let's talk about this game against
Tampa Bay?
Yeah, the last game of the season.
Oh,
last
no.
home game of the season, yeah.
Maybe they'll be resting players.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe we'll just play Syracuse and it'll be a toss-up.
I think I'm confident in saying that game should be a game where we can cheer for a Red Wings win and not have to worry about it. Although
I think we're at that point now.
they've cut that lead in the lottery division from 15 points to 11, so you never know.
Woo! Who are we chasing? And how many games do they have in hand on Detroit?
LA, and they have 1 game in hand.
Problem solved.
All right, let's talk about the Boston game that happened today. Huge moments. Andreas Athanasiou, 2 goals. That's massive for him. 2 goals on national TV. 1 was an empty netter, but whatever. People don't care. A power play goal that was beautifully set up by Larkin and Bertuzzi. How important was that for Athanasiou, especially considering everyone else who's offensively gifted, Mantha Zadina, and now Fabry being injured? How important was it for him to get on the board?
Not as important as it was for Perlini.
But I'm going to get to that, Brad.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I knew you were. I knew you started with Athanasiou, and I wanted to ruin your fun since you ruined your own joke earlier. I'm still rattled about that.
Are you fighting against me on my behalf?
Yes, this is fun. I am the inside of your head.
Oh, that's the scariest thought I could think of. All right, we'll do Perlini first. Finally gets the monkey off his back. Finally.
And also chronologically, he scored first, so,
Yes, he did. Yeah, whatever.
On the line. This isn't our first rodeo.
No. And it's
But it
certainly
was
not going to be.
Perlini's, apparently.
It was his. His first goal as a Red Wing comes in game like 55 or something like that of the season.
Oh, my God.
56 maybe.
Yeah, but we didn't trade for him till like November, didn't we?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. It was good. It was good to see Perlini score. And you know what? We were talking about this as the game was still going on, Brad. Perlini's not like he's not a hit on that trade that we saw with Fabry, and that's very obvious, and that's fine. Eisman took his shot and it just didn't stick. But especially early before Perlini kind of got relegated to the 4th line, could you stop coughing? You pile of garbage. We're trying to record a podcast.
I have kids. I am always sick. Just accept this as normal.
You know what Evan and I don't have? A cough. Why is
That's
that,
true.
Evan?
Because we don't have children.
We don't have children.
There you go.
And look at us. We're so together right
Eek
now.
specimens.
I showed up on time. You were in your pajamas and you forgot we were recording.
And I
You
was
both
in
can
my
piss off.
pajamas.
Oh, okay. But Perlini actually plays, in my mind, like a 10 to 12 goal scorer. That's the chances he's been generating. He's been kind of like just stonewalled. It's not a prolific shooter. I don't think he is an incredibly gifted offensive talent, but it's not like Ernie, where we speculated that Ernie might have that untapped part of his game, and that's very obviously not the case. I think Perlini has a lot of those fundamentals down, but just hasn't found a way to make it work, which is the most important part of the process. Putting the puck over the line is the most important part of scoring a goal. So
he has a 20-goal season under his belt, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so with Chicago. So I don't want to, make excuses and say he's incredibly gifted. No, but I think the way he's playing, you would have expected him to score a little bit more than what he has right now. So an important goal for him. Can we expect that to continue, or was today just a fluke?
At a 20-goal pace, it's not going to continue, but I expect him to probably shovel in a few more by the end of the season, especially considering Zadina, now Fabry, Mantha, how many offensive players are out. He's gonna trip and fall into offensive chances because they're gonna have no choice but to put him on the second power play unit or to put him out in a key offensive situation, because who else we're going to put out there? They tried Justin Abdelkader on the first line. How'd that go? They tried Darren Helm on the first line. How'd that go?
Poor Giovanni Smith had this beautiful zone entry, dangled around like 3 Boston Bruins defender. Megged, I think Torrey Krug to get the puck over to Abdelkader, and Abdelkader shot it wide of the net, of an open net.
Yeah, sounds about right. So this is why I have faith in Perlini getting a few more goals this season, because he's not that, and eventually he's going to start getting some more prominent minutes because he hasn't played poorly. He was snake bitten.
Do you keep Perlini as cheap depth this year?
He'll probably sign for less than $1 million, so of course I would.
Oh, I would keep Perlini for less than $1 million for sure.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
He could have a pretty good end of the season and finish with 6 goals. Are you giving a 6-goal scorer more than that?
The 6-goal scorer on this team is like a 15-goal scorer adjusted on most other teams.
Oh my God. That would put him like top 5 on this team in goals, I'm pretty sure.
We'll talk about Athanasiou in a second, but that reminds me of something. I was going to say that it's hard to evaluate players on this team because of how bad the Red Wings are this year. And that brings us to Dennis Cholowski, who before this game was sent down to the Grand Rapids Griffins. Mike Green was activated, and so that presumably is why Cholowski was sent down. Now, it's a little bit of not a confusing send down. I think the cat's out of the bag. Cholowski's not been good this year, especially after a poor second half to the last season, in which he was already down to the Griffins by that point, I think. He needed to have a good season. Do I think he's been the worst Red Wings defenseman? No. But it's so hard to evaluate what's on Cholowski, what's on the system, and what's on the fact that just maybe nobody can succeed on this team besides the like ultimate stars like Larkin, because it's actually just trying to look through mud. It's trying to see straight through mud, trying to evaluate players objectively and see where they are. So I really don't know what to make of this Cholowski send down. A part of me thinks just leave him up and let him grind out the season. Who cares if he's sucking? Everyone's sucking, but I don't know.
Where are wins more important right now, Detroit or Grand Rapids?
Grand Rapids.
There you go. That's my entire argument.
Yeah. There's been a weird dialogue, though. You know, people are asking Blashill about Cholowski, and he's just had some cryptic things to say, like he's a little bit banged up, or he kind of alludes to him being hurt, and he kind of alludes to him being like off, or he kind of alludes to him not playing as well as he would have hoped. And I just don't really get what's happening there. I don't get how the handling of Cholowski is going. But no, you're right. Grand Rapids is important. They want them to make the playoffs.
Yeah, we're gonna see. I think the only reason Lindstrom is up and Cholowski's not is because, well, they want a longer look at him, and well, everybody's injured, so they need somebody to actually field some ice right now in Detroit. So
now,
in a perfect world, I think they want Lindstrom and Cholowski and Rasmussen and Veleno and Svechnikov and all these guys and Hirose clicking in Grand Rapids to get Grand Rapids into the playoffs. I don't think they give a crap about what's going on in Detroit. I think they want the young guys away from Detroit. I don't think that's changed from October to now. The only reason Zadina stayed up is because Zadina basically forced their hand when he came up to fill in a spot, because he was only up because of injury, let's not forget. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm not reading too much into it because, again, I think Cholowski is it's not the only reason, but I think he's a victim of circumstance. The style of game he plays is not complimentary of the system Blashill plays or the talent he's surrounded with. I think if Cholowski were even on a half-decent team, let's say Montreal, I think he'd be doing fine this year. Not going to be winning Rookie of the Year or Norris or anything like that, but he'd be fine. It's just this team's terrible.
You mentioned Gustav Lindstrom, who was the benefactor of a lot of those like sudden Red Wings injuries. He's played 3 games. I think he's been not bad. You haven't noticed him, but that's good on this team.
Yeah, you haven't noticed him immediately makes him the best defenseman on this team.
I made a joke today where I saw him make like a clean breakout pass to the winger, which should be a very basic play, but we are deprived with the Red Wings this season.
They're few and far between.
Very few, very far between, and it was so nice to see that. And I was like, yeah, well, that's a win for me. He hasn't been a complete devastation on the blue line. That's fine. Lindstrom is a guy who last year we had a lot more hope for, kind of hasn't really excelled so much in his progress, but he's still very young, so it'd be silly to give up on him. Wasn't really expecting him to make it up this year, but at the same time, anything can happen with the team this bad with this many injuries. So it is positive to see him get a look, and who knows, he could still pan out and be something a lot more impressive. I know the Swedish contingent of Red Wings fans has been shouting at us about Lindstrom for a long time.
If I'm the physical embodiment of the sound, Lindstrom is the physical embodiment of the sound. He's fine. He's not bad. He's not great. He's not going to have any major impact on the game in a good way or a bad way, which, like you said, on this team is a massive relief, and that immediately makes him better than half the defensemen at least. Am I excited about him yet? No. Will I ever be excited about Gustav Lindstrom, even if he becomes a regular in Detroit? Probably not, because he's a bottom pairing defenseman who, if everything goes really well for Gustav Lindstrom right now, what is he? Nemeth?
Yeah, that's great. We need more Nemeths.
Yeah.
Nemeth's a great defender.
And is anybody excited about Nemeth?
Yeah, me. I like defense. I'm a nerd.
Yeah, but in today's NHL, you need guys who are at least... Lindstrom looks more capable from a puck moving standpoint than I think Nemeth is currently. I'm not saying he's better than Nemeth at that now, but I think factoring in growth, age, et cetera, I think there is a bit more upside there. But again, he's fine, and that's fine, and that doesn't upset me.
Do you think that Evan looks more dead behind the ice tray than he usually does?
I don't know why I'm so tired right now.
Did you have coffee today?
No.
Why didn't you ask for when you got in? You know I always have coffee on for you.
Yeah, but I shouldn't feel this dead.
No,
even with coffee.
No, but
without coffee.
If we're talking about the way you should and shouldn't feel and act, Evan, we have a 5-year backlog to go through.
We do.
The Red Wings' previous 2 games, they on Thursday the 6th, they beat Buffalo in a shootout in a game they desperately tried to lose.
Speaking of fan bases that are melting down.
Oh, man. That might be the straw that breaks the camel's back in Buffalo. You lost to the Red Wings. Who are you, Boston?
So because I'm a Bills fan, I have a lot of Sabres fans on my feed, and I've literally seen multiple tweets today about, yeah, that's enough of the Sabres. I'm into the XFL now.
I don't blame them. I really don't blame them.
Best football league in the world.
It is fun, man. I love the rules.
It's so much better. I'm missing the Guardians game for this. Yes,
I'm so down with the no extra point kicks.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Love it.
And the further you go back, you can get 1, 2, or 3 extra points. Unreal.
My hot take is that within 3 years, the NFL will have adopted at least one major rule from the XFL.
And they should. They should adopt all of them. The not moving until the receiver receives a punt or a kick. Beautiful. The if you punt it out of bounds, it goes to your own 45. Love it. The extra point. Love it. This league, from a rule standpoint, is already way better than the NFL. Now, the talent will never catch up to the NFL, obviously, but yeah, screw it. Let's go Guardians and let's go Renegades. I got to decide on one of them.
I'm still on the fence. Every team has a plus for me. The game against Buffalo was a Dylan Larkin two-goal game in which he scored in a very pretty way twice, scored in the shootout, and Athanasiou sealed that shootout winner. The Columbus Blue Jackets game was a game in which Jimmy Howard made 42 saves, and they lost 2-0.
Yeah.
That's so Jimmy Howard 2020.
That guy cannot buy a win. This team is not scoring in front of him. It's weird because every time we talk about Jimmy Howard, because I think Jimmy Howard in 2020 has been good. He had an atrocious start to the season, but he's been very passable to decent in most games since. And everyone is just piling on. They're like, Howard sucks. Howard sucks. I'm like, yeah, he does suck this year. He's also at the end of his career. He's 36 years old. He's seen probably the most high dangerous scoring chances out of anyone else in the league since 2012. I cannot believe that people are just erasing his entire history as a solid Red Wings goalie. Do people forget the years that he dragged this team to the playoffs?
The same people who dump on him are the same people that you see dumping on Blashill, dumping on Ken Holland.
Well,
I don't dump on Howard, but I dump on those two.
Yeah, I dump on those two.
Well, it's just like that's who their scapegoat is.
Yeah, and I get it. Like, you're right. Everyone's right in saying Howard hasn't been good this year, and Detroit has lost games because of Howard. Sure. On the whole, Detroit has lost games because of the 5 players playing in front of him at any given moment, though. That's the majority of the problem for the Red Wings. Doesn't matter who's playing, because as you see, when he puts up 42 saves, they're not winning. The only way Detroit's winning these games is when they have the random spurt of like a lot of scoring, or teams like Boston just cannot find the back of the net because they had too many Coney Island hot dogs right before the game.
Over the last 4 games, the Red Wings are 2-2, and we're pretty thrilled about that. But should they be? Because I actually just looked it up out of curiosity. You want to know the Red Wings' shots on goal over the last 4 games?
No.
In order from starting with Philly, 16, 21, 16, 20. In a league where the average is over 30. In Sean Tierney, Charting Hockey, in his lovely little shots for, shots against, Corsi for, Corsi against charts that he did, he literally had to expand the chart to fit the Red Wings on. They generate so few shots. There is 0 offense on this team right now, and yet they've got a pretty high shooting percentage, hence why they won today, and hence why they beat Buffalo.
Everyone's visuals have to be so like expanded, and they lose so much detail because the Red Wings, they're so far off the chart. Some news for Detroit internationally. There is word that they have signed winger Malti Stromwall out of the KHL. Haven't heard of this guy before. I'm going to level with you. This isn't confirmed. There have been conflicting reports coming out about it. I'm trying to find my exact tweet. So a guy named Dusan Umesevic and Hockey Sverige in Sweden have reported it, but there's been conflicting reports. He's a 25-year-old right-handed shooter. He's a winger. He's been pretty successful in the Finnish Elite League and then this year the KHL. I know there's a lot to do with transfer agreements between the KHL and the NHL, so it might be something that has to wait. It could be completely false. I know Edmonton is in on him. I think the Rangers used to own his rights, but that might be something to look out for. The same thing happened with Kasky, right? When they signed him and then like it was denied a little bit and then it was like came out and was announced.
Yeah, I hate when rumors are unsubstantiated, but you know they're probably true, but you can't confirm it. It drives me nuts.
Well, I mean, I said like there's no official word, so don't get too ahead of it. But at the same time, there's not really the media press to confirm it, so it probably won't be for a little while until the team officially announces it.
And the thing that's bothering me the most about this is if we do sign this guy and Red Wings prospect Malti Setkov also makes a team, we will have 2 Maltis on the team. And I know there's a Maltese Falcon joke in here somewhere that I just can't find, and it's bothering me.
No, I can't find that at all.
No, I'm looking because we've got Maltese. There's 2 of them, plural. We have the first word of the joke.
I believe it's multi-pull.
Thank you, Evan. That was way better than
Evan
I was going to come
Evan
up with
gets
it. Yeah,
this is why we need Evan here at any given moment. Evan given moment. Yeah, see, I can't do it. This is
Evan given moment.
It's a gift.
All right, around the NHL. Well, actually, let's go down to the AHL. Moritz Seider
killed a guy.
Continues to kill people on the ice and then stands his ground and then chirps from the box. He is going to be the most beloved man in Detroit so quickly.
That might have been my favorite hockey gif of all time, where you just see the guy come in for a high hit on Seider. Play goes into the zone. The Stars go to break it out. You just see the puck come to that guy on the boards. And before you even see Seider come on the screen, you know he's coming. And so sure enough, I think it was Felber gets the puck, looks up, in comes Seider like the ghost of Nick Cronwall and just clobbers the guy and then immediately goes at him, to which Felber skates away because he does not want to fight our monster, beloved German fellow.
He's probably going to be in Detroit while we're in Grand Rapids. We talked about that. Our Grand Rapids trip is the last weekend of March. I'm always pausing for Brad's coughs. Brad, unless you can afford a producer for us to edit these episodes, You're not allowed to be sick.
Supply me with medicine when I get here then.
Yeah, okay. It's Canada. We can do that.
That's fair.
Someone commented on the last YouTube video, appalled that we weren't in Detroit. And it's like, man, I hate to break it to you, but a lot of Red Wings fans just don't happen to be in Detroit at all times. Appalled. He's probably Terry's friend. We lost Terry.
Yep.
What was I talking about?
AHL.
AHL Seider or something.
He's going to be up in Detroit while we're in Grand Rapids, but I cannot wait for him to get his 9-game look. And then I cannot wait for next season for him to probably challenge for a roster spot.
Challenge for a roster spot. The argument's going to be, does he play on the first or second pairing?
He's going to kill people, and it's going to give Red Wings, it's going to put butts in seats. Like, management loves talking about that. Ownership loves talking about that. Moritz Seider is a butts in seats player. Like, he legitimately...
Tickets are $7 right now. There should be lots of butts in the seats.
Yeah, aren't they? They're doing a BOGO deal right now.
Yeah, that BOGO
They
deal
were.
actually sucks because I was looking at it. Man, the original ticket prices are still so absurdly high, it's not worth it.
I can't wait till this team's good again.
Because I have to get tickets to the game against Calgary because I'm taking Mika down to her first game at the LCA. I'm like, BOGO, perfect. I need 3 tickets, but I guess I got to buy 4. Perfect. I can literally get a seat to store all my shit with the kids and whatnot and not have to pay for it. And I go look at the prices. Yeah, no, they're still cheaper on other apps.
Yeah, it was like the original face value, and on the resale sites are way cheaper.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not paying. And it's run through Ticketmaster, so I never even got to the page to know what the hell those fees are. So, yeah, no, I'm good.
Moritz Seider, butts and seats, starting probably at the end of the season and next. Last episode, I talked a lot about Jonathan Bernier and how amazing he's been playing.
Oh, I almost had the worst joke on the.
Thank you for not doing that.
Yeah.
He has been absolutely lights out, and I talked about how teams looking for goaltending depth should look to Jonathan Bernier. Teams like Toronto. As I was publishing the episode, Toronto went out and traded for Jack Campbell, which is exceptionally rude. Exceptionally rude. Toronto obviously fighting for a playoff spot right now. They hold a divisional seed, but it's tight because they have Florida on their tail. They have a lot of the wild card teams are actually ahead of them. So it might not work out in their favor, and they needed a goalie because Hutchinson was not playing up to par, and then
Frederick Anderson.
Frederick Anderson, thank you, hurt his neck. Campbell's won one game, lost another in overtime. Blah blah blah. We're not going to get too much into Toronto.
Why is a backup goalie this big a deal?
Because
it's Toronto.
Because Toronto might be the most talented team to ever miss the playoffs in the modern era.
I forget what the original saying is, but just to copy it, if the backup goalie is the problem, it's not the backup goalie.
Oh, of course not. It's the defense.
Isn't Morgan Riley hurt?
Yes.
Yeah. You see Tyson Barrie on 3-on-3 overtime wind up from the side hash marks for a slap shot, and the rebound went the other way, and Kovalchuk ended it. Tyson, why are you shooting from there, pal?
Kovalchuk's resurgence is breathtaking.
Wild.
I love all of it. Maybe
the most fun story in hockey this year.
See, that's what gets me. This whole mutual termination of contract thing. Like, I understand how it works, but it feels cap circumventy to me. And then he goes and signs for less in Montreal, and I'm like, why would you do that?
NHL PA can't complain about it because Kovalchuk willingly left millions on the table.
Twice.
You know what? You can argue like how rude of him that is, but man, this guy is obviously not playing for money, and I kind of respect that.
He loves the game, and you know what? It's going well for him in Montreal, and he's being touted as a potential trade piece for Montreal, and it's fair. He's playing like a guy who should be worth a second-round pick for a contender.
Isn't Montreal like 7-2-1 since they've got him or something like that?
They are.
I thought I saw that
7-3-0 in their last 10. Yeah, they're still out of a wild card spot though, well out of a wild card spot. So it's going to be tough for them. They'd have an easier chance getting in a divisional seed, and that's not particularly close right now either. The East is a mess. So is the whole league. The Pacific is wild as well. How's
the lottery division? Is that close?
Well, the Red Wings.
No, it's not, Ryan. Don't.
The Red Wings have reduced their lead in the lottery division from 15 points to 11. LA has a game in hand, so it could go back up to 13 after today. But still, It's not as close as it was before, or it's not as far away as it was before. Still not particularly close.
Los Angeles 1-8-1 in their last 10. Hashtag the Kovalchuk effect.
Yeah, why are they trying to lose? What, they want the best player overall? Grow up. Let's do a tankathon.
No, these are making me sad.
And I'm going to sim the lottery.
And it made me sad.
Rangers first, LA second, New Jersey third, Red Wings fourth. Okay. Lafreniere, Byfield, Stützle. Who do you take?
Raymond.
Yes.
I think Raymond and Rossi at the same time. See if they don't notice. That's where I'm at right now. Let's talk a little bit about the draft lottery because
when is that again?
They haven't announced it yet.
They don't know. They're not telling anyone.
Currently, the Red Wings have an 18.5% chance of getting first overall. That is the most a team has through one single pick. However, Ottawa has an 11.5% chance being third last, and then San Jose, whose pick belongs to Ottawa through the Erik Karlsson trade, has a 7.5% chance, which means they will have a 19% chance, which is 0.5% better than the Red Wings of landing Alexis Lafreniere.
This is why nobody likes you, San Jose.
I want to be mad at Ottawa for that. I want to say this shouldn't be the case, but no, they traded Erik Karlsson. They deserve to have that lottery. Like, that's a fair return. They deserve to have that lottery pick.
To them last year, yeah.
Okay, but
yeah,
you know what? I hate that an owner can destroy a team so much where they have to lose Erik Karlsson, Mark Stone, all these great players that they practically had to give away. Not give away for nothing, but like they shouldn't have left the team. And now they're going to be rewarded again. And he's going to ruin that pick too. It's like McDavid going to Edmonton.
All Ottawa's going to do is season Lafreniere for us so that in 8 years when we're competitive, we can get him and he'll be ready to go because he'll only be 26.
So Red Wings fans, at the end of the day, it doesn't particularly matter. But if you want to do one thing to make yourself feel better, cheer for Ottawa and San Jose to win as many games as possible, which is a tall task right now considering the stature of both of those teams. But still,
good news. Buffalo currently sits ahead of San Jose, so that is surely to change because, wow.
Yeah. That city might actually just take the team away.
Imagine that city right now if the Bills didn't make the playoffs. They're still riding that high. It might be on fire otherwise.
Let's go on a little bit too. Is there anything else actually around the league that we want to talk about?
Not around the league, but if you want any more reason why the WNHL should get some traction, the U.S.-Canada rivalry series game in Anaheim set the all-time record for a Team USA game in the States in terms of attendance. Over 13,000 people in California to watch a women's hockey game.
Oh, that's really cool.
13,000 in California to watch, for all intents and purposes, a meaningless hockey game. Now, obviously, it's not meaningless in terms of, pride, rivalry, yada, 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 but it's not a league. It's not a tournament. It's not a standings. The rivalry series has already been determined. Canada can't mathematically catch the States. So for a meaningless game, and they got 13,000 out there.
I know there's been a lot of talk. We've talked to Merrick about it. We've talked about it amongst ourselves. Other people are saying it. It's a tough topic right now with the NWHL currently still being a league, but it's presumed that the NHL has a plan ready to go if they fold to form a league funded, WNHL. I don't want to tell the women currently running their own league that, they should fold. I think it's admirable. I think they're doing the best that they can do, but I would just love to see like a properly funded league where, these players don't have to go home and then also teach high school to fund themselves. They can make a living wage and just see the best hockey that we can see out of these women. Anyways, who knows how that news can change. It's been a crazy couple of years for women's hockey. So that's good news. I actually didn't catch that game. So, and your friend played in that, right?
She scored the second goal for Canada.
Yeah.
She's way better hockey player than anybody I know.
Okay.
Sorry, Evan.
Played against Jamie McGinn on Friday night.
Jamie McGinn?
Yes.
He's not, where did you play against him?
In Fergus. Or where was I? Laura.
He's a UFA right
good.
now.
Yes. I thought he was like maybe a few years out of his career. He was literally in the AHL earlier this year.
Oh, why isn't he there now?
I don't know. That's a very good question. Because I think he was giving it about 15%, and he was undoubtedly the best player on the ice.
Played in the NHL last season. What the hell?
Huh. Did you get dusted?
Yes, we lost 11-3. And they weren't trying.
Oh, Evan versus the Charlotte Checkers of the...
That's basically what it was like.
Yeah. Do we have anything else, or was it just a slow news weekend for hockey? I think it might have been.
That Baifu Jillian guy in Winnipeg is a mess, but we don't have a definitive resolution other than they're working on a buyout of sorts.
Not a buyout, it'd be a mutual termination of contract, but at the same time he also has a grievance because he was being suspended without pay, but he's arguing that he was hurt and that's why he wasn't playing. So you're not allowed to not pay someone for not playing if they're hurt. So there's millions of dollars being talked about here. And this is just another situation where a team is now out of not a terrible contract, but out of a big money cap dead weight that they otherwise would have had to have held through a termination of contract. It's all kind of bizarre.
Someone somewhere in the whole process did something the other party didn't know was happening, or there was a misunderstanding of the process. And I think that's just how this whole thing sort of happened. And it spiraled.
Update on the Olympics. Apparently, the International Olympic Committee has reached out to the NHL and is willing to have movement on the big things that were holding them back, holding the NHL back from sending its players. And I will go on the record as saying the NHL is justified in wanting these things changed, and they are paying for the insurance for these players going to play games that don't help the owners of the teams at all, paying for travel and accommodations, and allowing the NHL to use footage and advertising materials for their use, which makes sense. These owners are giving up their assets. It's their employees that they're paying, risking their injury. And it's happened before. Tavares has been injured. Stamkos has been injured. Like a lot of these players have gone in. Zetterberg has been injured all of the Olympics. And it's harmed their NHL product, which is what they care about at the end of the day. So the Olympic Committee should be paying for their insurance. The Olympic Committee should be paying for the travel and accommodations. They should be paying or allowing the NHL to use Olympic footage and materials for the NHL's advertising purposes. So apparently they've come to the table with that and have showed a willingness to move on all those things, which is good. The next big hurdle is the NHL now has to allow this with the NHLPA. They're going to use it as a bargaining chip in the next CBA. And so you know for a fact that it's going to be dangled in front of them. And here's the thing. Everyone here has a point. I think the Olympic Committee, now that they're on the right side of those issues, presumably, they're justified. I think the NHLPA in wanting to go is justified. And I think the NHL in saying, well, if we're going to halt our season for 2 weeks and lose out on an all-star game or whatever else, they're justified as well. Everyone has to get together and just figure this out. They just have to get their shit together and they have to figure this out because at the end of the day, it's about seeing the best hockey that you can possibly see. And you have to do it for the good of the sport and the fans. It's bigger than money sometimes.
I don't know what we'll do without the All-Star game.
Literally anything else with their lives.
No, I need to have it every year.
You need to have it?
Yes.
Why?
The most exciting weekend of hockey around.
The problem is this is Evan's tone of voice when he's being serious as well. So people don't know that you're actually kidding right now.
I hate the All-Star game. If there's a spectrum, the All-Star game is on the one side and bad, and the Olympics is on the other. They're the complete opposites in terms of excitement and just exponential growth of the game. It makes the Olympics worth watching. And I know that's really poo-poos the other events that happen during the Olympics, but having hockey there is the biggest event.
It's going to be in China. There's going to be billions of eyes on this, as there always are. You want to expand the game, especially because the rate of growth of revenue in the league isn't matching that of other sports, professional sports. You want to expand the game, you have to advertise it internationally. You cannot get away with that running these stupid all-star games and these silly World Cup of hockey or whatever you want to call it, that the only people who watch that are people who are already watching NHL games. You have to expand your sport. You have to grow it. You have, like, someone said it and I can't remember who it is, but there are 2 billion people or however many in China. And you're saying that in 5 years, the next big prospect can't be some kid out of China? No, that's ignorant. You just have to get them watching, playing the sport, have it ingrained. The basketball, look at what the NBA has done. Billions of people watch NBA games.
Yeah. China is an untapped area for economic growth of the sport. There's a lot of things that come associated with that. But if you're looking to grow your game and, make more money, China's an obvious suitor.
They robbed us of seeing McDavid and Crosby when Crosby was closer to his prime 2 years ago play together, and I'm very upset about that. That would have been some of the best hockey that you've seen. That's rude. They have to figure it out for 2022. Get it?
Every time we have an Olympics, and as Canadians, we say this is one of the best Olympic teams we've ever put together, or this was the best Olympic team we put together. That theoretical team probably would have been the best.
When the Americans will have a loaded team, everyone's going to have a loaded team. It's just best on best hockey, and there's nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing like it. What can you do?
I mean, if we're talking about theoretical teams, the 1998 Olympics could have had 1988 Olympics could have had Gretzky and Lemieux in their prime.
Which year?
88.
Oh,
Gretzky,
what were you doing that year?
Gretzky, Lemieux, and Yzerman in their prime on the same team. Think about that.
When did the NHL start going back to the Olympics?
98.
Nagano was the first one.
Yeah,
We all know how that went.
it got hashicked.
Yep.
We're going to head over to overtime a little bit early today just because it's the weekend. We can do what we want. We're going to start with Patreon, where our supporters get their comments read out as our way of saying thank you. Bippy Boy 69
Oh, no.
No.
says, "Oh man, I don't know if I can handle sitting through another game where Detroit gets shut out. Please, hockey gods, save us." And they did. Josh Terrell says, "Hey, Dub, is Seider the new Cronwald?" Yes. Also, it seems to be. Also, it still seems to be buzz about Puljujarvi. Would you pursue him, and if so, what type of asset would you be willing to part with for him? Thanks.
Hold on, we got to go back to Seider. We can do better than just Seider because his first name literally rhymes with more hits.
I know, and that will probably be our episode title: is More Hits Seider. Unless we've actually, and I have to give credit to a few people who tweeted that at us. But no, Seider is just going to be the simple one. That's what people will go for.
More hits outside.
No.
More hits inside.
Puljujarvi, do you give up an asset for him?
Yeah.
Sure.
I take him.
What's the asset?
Would you take a first in Puljujarvi for Athanasiou and a second?
No.
What would you have to do? What would you do?
Take that second out.
I don't think Ken Holland's giving up a first in Puljujarvi for Athanasiou.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to give up another asset along with Athanasiou because I'm not super high on Puljujarvi. The first is obviously the trade piece in there. Who else would Ken Holland covet that we could throw in as a sweetener? Slightly overpaid grinder that everybody just loves.
Zach Cassian.
No, we'll call him Darren Helm.
Joseph Delia says, "Sup, my dudes. Keep the prospect talk going."
Sorry.
We'll start mapping out our official prospect previews and things like that.
Yeah, we got to get a count of how many episodes we have until the draft because I want to go more than 30 players deep this time because of the Red Wings having picked 32.
Yeah.
And obviously we skipped a good chunk of the middle of the first round of prospects last year because didn't matter to Detroit.
And then it did. We will get them this time. I live close to Muskegon, and the USHL is getting better and better. I've got to watch Andrei Svechnikov dummy kids when he was 16. Same year Petrozelli dominated. I'm still high on E4, Afanasyev.
Igor Afanasyev.
It was a typo on his end. My bad. Daniel Guishin is going to be a second rounder this year.
Guishin.
Whatever. Any prospects from your home teams that you really liked in the past and wanted the Red Wings to draft? Thanks, my dudes. Yeah, Ryan Ellis.
Gabriel Landeskog. Right now, well, the kid that I've got an eye on for Detroit's second round pick is a kid named Donovan Sabrango in Kitchener. Mobile, two-way defenseman that I really like. And on most of the rankings, I see he's anywhere from middle of the second round to late third. So there's definitely a chance.
TJ Swanson says, hey guys, my first comment since becoming a patron. I know there's going to be a lot of draft talk over the next few months, but who are some of the guys you like to see targeted in the second round this year? Myself, I'd love to see Peterka fall that far, but I highly doubt that he will. Anyways, love the podcast, guys. Thanks for helping us through this season.
I'm really hoping Jacob Perreault slips because he's one of those highly skilled guys who has a lot of question marks around him. And you do tend to see those guys slip like a Kaliev last year. So hoping there. A couple of the Russian kids I'm hoping to see slip. Gushin being one of them. Yeah, there's a few. I don't have again, without having any lists in front of me off the top of my head, I'm drawing a few more blanks here, but there's a lot of defensemen in that range that intrigue me in that 32.
What's his name? Shakir
Mukhamadullin, yeah.
Yeah, he could fall. I think
that's a fun name.
Just for the name alone, it's someone I would love to see.
This is why we can't trade Athanasiou. This could be the best breakout ever. Mukhamadullin to
Athanasiou, and they scored before I even finished saying Athanasiou's name.
Yeah.
Michael Berry says, hey guys, hope you had a happy Canada Hockey Day. What are you willing to sacrifice for the first overall pick, knowing it's a 19% chance? Also, watching Justin Abdelkader completely whiff on an open net was so painful in the Bruins game. Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, I'll sacrifice Abdelkader for it.
I would sacrifice Athanasiou for a guarantee of the first overall pick.
There's almost basically what you're basically just asking who on the Red Wings would you trade 1-for-1 for Lafreniere, which the answer is all of them.
Jeremy Dahl says, really enjoyed the exclusive episode, guys. Yes, if you guys haven't listened to that, go back and do it. We will be dropping another one soon. Very much worth the investment. Jeez, Brad, he's trying to say nice things about us.
Shut up.
Hey, the rest of you, sign up, become a Winged Wheeler, join this great group. I swear it's like a support group for us poor suffering Wings fans. God damn, this season is brutal. I get nothing but the piss taken out of me at work for how bad they are. You guys are goddamn legends and scholars. One quick question though. You guys say you love dogs, but didn't care for Brad's dogs and won't let Mel's dog in the room. You said she loves you guys. Just let her in the room. Anyways, cheers. Look forward to another episode and then many more after that.
You guys wouldn't hear a word we say if we did.
Yeah, we have a hard enough time controlling noise and sound quality with Evan rubbing his sunchip bag coat during every episode.
Yep.
Abby's quiet. She doesn't bark, but at the same time, like it's dogs walking around on hardwood and just constantly fussing about. She's had a runny nose lately, which is incredibly annoying.
That's where I got it.
Dog cold.
I got the dog cold. You want to hear the cutest problem solution me and my wife have ever had at home? Mika hates sleeping in her bed by herself. Mm-hmm. Hates it. She usually wanders into our room at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and then we have to put her back. The solution so we're not in there is we've been putting Ollie in there with her, and she's been okay with that.
Has Ollie been okay with that?
He loves it because she's got so many like stuffies and crap on the floor that are soft. He's in heaven. This is the highlight of his life.
Ollie's going to outlive us all.
He might.
I thought that guy was going to die like 2 years into the podcast.
Boxer's life expectancy is 8 to 10. He's turning 13 this summer.
Good man. Hasn't slowed down a step. He has.
He's definitely slowed down. He used to not have any like gray on him at all. Now he's almost all white.
Oh, buddy. John Evans says, hello, gentlemen, greetings from Ohio. Quick story from Friday's game. Went to a bar afterwards to drown our sorrows and toast Jimmy Howard's performance. We discovered this place, #no free ads, served poutine, and I became very excited as I've never had it before. Gotta say, I can see what the hype was about. I chose to try and go full Canadian and wash it down with a favorite WWP sponsor, Labatt Blue. Anyways, given this choice of food and beverage, it makes me understand that I'm required to apply for Canadian citizenship now. So if you can point me in the right direction, that'd be great. Any poutine tips that you care to share?
Ryan's passionate about this, so I'm going to let him take it.
I'm a little bit of a purist. I understand there's different poutines in the world. Has to be cheese curds, squeaky cheese curds, no shredded cheese, no different kinds of cheese. Don't get fancy. No cheese sauce, squeaky cheese curds melted by the beef gravy that you put on. I understand if you're a vegetarian, you want to put veggie gravy. Fine. I am adamant that
you've made your bed. You don't get poutine.
I'm adamant that beef gravy is the best for it. I'm actually flexible on fries. McDonald's shoestring fries, their poutine's not bad. But has to be squeaky cheese curds, has to be beef gravy. You can add pulled pork, you can add different things. For sure, absolutely. I'm not going to say it's not poutine.
When we go to Montreal, I'm 100% going to get a Montreal smoked meat poutine.
Oh, yeah.
If we get the first overall pick, I will rub that on my naked body.
Patreon exclusive content, or should we just make that available for everyone?
Don't worry, we won't need to do any filming on that because we will be at the draft in Montreal with lots of cameras and reporters and
You think
podcasters
Alfie
around.
Turcotte picking his nose on camera was bad? I'm going to get escorted out by security.
We will be on every station, network, and podcast imaginable when that happens.
Oh man, that'll really propel our growth.
You're welcome, everyone.
Side note here, you know how we hit 500,000 listeners like at the end of last summer?
No.
What are you doing at any given point in your
I don't
life?
know. You always send out things like that on Twitter, and I just retweet them. I know my role. I don't read them.
He's like the fourth line grinder who's aware his team has a power play unit but couldn't tell you who's on it or how it's run.
He's like, I know it's not me.
That's how I look at it.
You'd be a bad fit on the Red Wings, my friend.
I can't score. I'd be a great fit.
We hit 500,000 lifetime listens at the end of last summer. We've already passed since then 800,000 lifetime listens. Yeah, we should hit 1 million sometime this summer, I think, or this year. So that's huge. Also, you guys have been huge subscribing to us on Spotify. If you want to support the show, that's a great way to do it. Subscribe on Spotify and leave a rating on Spotify, or in case you want to just like go all out, even if you don't listen on these platforms, subscribe on iTunes. Leaving a rating on iTunes is huge for us. You guys have left us a ton of 5-star ratings, which has been amazing. So thank you for that. Anyhow, yeah, exciting milestones that we didn't even realize that we were passing. Nick says, hey, Dub, this has undoubtedly been the longest season that I can remember. As we continue to silently beg for death over the course of the next 26 games, it's sort of hard to find things that really look forward to with this team. The only thing worse than watching Blashill's baffling personnel decisions, like playing two of the worst players in the league on the PK, is watching people defend him online because the team lacks talent. Team obviously lacks talent, but they're not that far behind the other bottom dwellers. Anyways, Gus Lindstrom, not too shabby through 2 games. My personal hope for him is that he can spend the next couple of seasons showing he's a good defensive right-hand D who can skate and move the puck, so that when we have a higher ceiling guy like Tuomisto, Lindstrom can provide us with a valuable trade chip, or maybe even around that time, the time we're a bubble team. One last thing to consider, I don't think I'd trade Tyler Bertuzzi, but everyone has a price. He's a 24-year-old RFA having an awesome season, and he plays playoff-style hockey. I could see someone really valuing him. What would someone have to offer you for Bert?
You know all those Athanasiou trade rumors we've been talking about? Yeah, basically those.
Those, but I would say more right now.
Probably.
Stay Fresh Cheese Bags of Fournier Company says, hello there, fellows. Porchlowski again. Let's distract ourselves for a moment. The last episode, you guys talked about Ernie and Bowie swapping positions. I remember Bowman trying Fedorov on defense for his speed, and eventually Dandino permanently switched from the fourth line to forward to defense because he was blindingly fast. Around the league, big-bodied forwards Brent Burns and Dustin Byfuglien were switched to D for their physicality and huge shots. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Ernie doesn't play like any of these guys. Besides his defensive awareness, what else could he possibly bring by switching back there? We were kidding mostly.
What could he bring by being a defenseman on this team right now? I think the most important thing that he would bring to that is not being Daly.
Which is a easy thing to be because Daly seems to be in a league of his own as of late.
He is. Like, I've been watching the games where Eriksson dresses or relative like unknowns like Viega or defensive liabilities like Bowie. And I just go, wow, Trevor Daly is so much worse than all of them. Why is the one guy with absolutely zero trade value the guy who requested a trade? Do you know that like sums up the Red Wings season, doesn't it?
As for Bowie, the last defenseman I know of that moved up to forward is our old friend Brendan Smith because he sucked on the blue line. Same as Bowie, but they play different styles. How would Bowie be different from Smith? How would he be the same? They'd be similar in a lot of the ways. I think they made a lot of the same kind of like offensive rushes or step-ins. I think Bowie actually has a little bit of a finer eye for the offensive part of the game, although his execution's not always on point.
I think his raw tools are flat out better than Smith. I think he's a better skater. I think he's got a better shot. I think he's got, like you said, a better eye in the offensive zone. I'm not saying he would go up to forward and be a 40-point guy, but I think he could legitimately go to the third or fourth line and contribute 30-ish points a season to 40 pretty comfortably because he's doing that from the back end, except he's causing goals from the back end. So hopefully that would get solved a little bit.
Smith was a phenomenally better defender than Bowie, and he wasn't even a good defender. By the way, sending condolences out to Steve Dangle. Yes, of course, Steve did have a death in the family, so condolences out to him. Did you hear them on their last episode? Not the last episode, maybe the one before, of the Steve Dangle podcast, laughing about how bad Detroit was, and then they were like, "Oh man, how's the Winged Wheel podcast doing this?" I was like, solidarity. That's how.
Thanks, boys.
Gouda is rich, nutty, and a bit smoky. A big, bold, full-bodied tannic Cabernet Sauvignon will stand up well with the heavy taste of the cheese. Stay fresh cheese bags. Always an interesting comment. Ian says, have any of you guys seen the Bob Probert movie? I have not yet, but it's on my list.
There's a movie?
Yep.
Did not know this.
No.
Haroon Khan says, hey guys, what are your thoughts on Svechnikov? Dude is probably my favorite prospect, but is he going to crack the roster next year, or is he going to be part of a big deadline deal?
I would guess he's going to crack the roster next year. I no longer have much of a high hope for him as a top 6 forward, but I think he could be a good third line winger. He had 2 goals last game, I believe. Seider shot one that he deflected in, which is, hey, maybe a sign of future things to come.
Maybe.
Yeah, and again, this is his first year back after missing a full season with an ACL injury. So I think we can still be legitimately excited about Svechnikov with realistic expectations.
Garrett TV says, Hockey Amigos, you're going to trade Athanasiou. Would you rather do it 1, before he signs a new contract and or goes to arbitration, or 2, some point after he signs a 3-year times $4 million contract? What would you think maximizes his return given what we've seen so far? Keep whatever stick you're not in quarantine on the ice and be sure to get pucks deep. Let's go Red Wings.
I would trade him before he signs the contract because I would think his new team would want to negotiate their own terms, own contract, own cap hit, own length, et cetera, own no trade or whatever clauses that might be attached to a contract they would want to control.
Counterpoint, a 3x4 isn't bad, especially if he rebounds a little bit next year.
Oh, I agree. That would be a fantastic contract, which is exactly why he's not going to sign that.
Yakaruta says the Red Wings should try to acquire a top defenseman this offseason, say Torrey Krug or Pietrangelo. Since neither is coming to Detroit, what 4th pair defenseman do the Red Wings pay too much money this summer? None. Yzerman is too smart for that to pay anyone with term. Also, do you care about the Oscars? Hashtag, oh shit, we lost Terry. Yeah, I do. I usually try to get around to watching a lot of the nominees, but I haven't yet.
I used to actually like really, really get into the Oscars when I could actually watch all the movies that were nominated, since out of all the movies nominated for Best Film this year, I think I've seen maybe one of them. So it's hard for me to care, although I did get to the movies on Thursday.
To see?
Birds of Prey.
How was it?
Really good.
Huh.
I went into that movie with absolutely no expectations, and it was really, really fun movie. Not like anything that's going to go super in depth. They're getting nominated for any awards, but the visuals were great. The characters were great. The comedy timing was great. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And it's bombing at the box office because DC.
Mark says, hey boys, big day for hockey. Wings at 12:30, Griffins at 4, and I play at... Shit, I should probably figure that out. We've only got 7 skaters and no goalie, so if any of you guys want to sub, we've got spots open. The game is only a couple towns away in Lansing. Anyways, got 2 questions. Do you think attempting to play low-event hockey is good or bad for developing players? Bad. My thought is that when they're young, get them scoring. Might give up more goals, but scoring builds confidence and makes the game more fun. When they get within striking distance of being competitive, then start to get them playing more defensively. Low event hockey should be for teams that already know how to score goals when they need them. Wings clearly can't score, but they're also not good at playing low event hockey either. I guess I think of how the early 90s Wings were built versus how they started to play after Scotty came to Detroit. By the time they were asked to play more defensively, they were exceedingly efficient at scoring goals. Second question. What are the best numbers to have for beer league? For me, 10 skaters is perfect, 9 is sketchy, 8 the wheels are falling off, 7 or less is a possible heart attack.
I like 11. You get the extra rest when you need it, but for the most part, you're going every other shift.
Yeah.
I think at least 11.
At least I don't like more than 11. More than 11, I feel like I've never played in a beer league game where the pace is so high that I need to be rested for 2 full shifts. So yeah, anything higher than that where you're getting close to 3 lines is a touch irritating, but I understand you have to do that because if you only build a roster of 2 lines, you are getting 6 players every game.
Have a good week, and hopefully we see something in the Griffins game that will make us excited for the future. Jake Jarvis says, what's up, old pals? Been a while since I wrote in. Just saying hi, that's all. Hello, Jake. Hope you've been well. We have to reconnect sometime soon. Jacob Charlip says, what's up, gentlemen? As we get closer to the end of the season, we've got to find reasons to be locked into the playoffs. So who are the one or two teams in both conferences you guys would like to see make a run?
Both conferences?
I would say to make a run out of the...
Like, that's realistic, because right now I would be all in on the Kovalchuk train.
Make a run out of the East, Carolina, and Carolina and Columbus.
Call me crazy. I know they're not even in a playoff spot right now. I want to see Florida make a run.
They're, with their games in hand, they're in a divisional seed. They just have to win one game out of their next two to beat out Toronto.
Team hasn't won a playoff round since 96. That could be fun.
Out of the West, Vegas and Edmonton, because I want to see Connor McDavid in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree on both.
Okay, moving on. Matt Cheney says, what's up, boys? If there's one thing that gives me pleasure this season, it's seeing Ilya Kovalchuk score an overtime stinger for the Montreal Canadiens against Toronto when the Leafs are in the playoff hunt. I'll take sentences I never thought I'd type out for 800, please, Alex. I'm hoping Evan is here for this question since he seems to be an expert in vacation. I'm heading off to the Dominican soon. How do I best take advantage of an all-inclusive resort?
What do you mean? You eat and drink and sit on the beach.
Amazing. That's the advice he was looking for.
His advice is don't overthink it. Just have fun.
Tip early and tip well, and then you'll have everything you could ever want right at your fingertips.
And tip visibly.
Yes.
Don't sneak that 20 in there.
No.
Show it to them.
You have a parade up to the bar with that crisp American $20 bill.
Evan Beckner says, sup guys, writing this from the LCA during first intermission. We don't deserve Bernier. He's too good. Liz B says, Boston lost to Detroit on national TV. That is all an excellent point, Liz.
Did we mention what Bernier's stats in the last 9 games were? 5-4, sub 2 goals against average, and like a .941 save percentage while averaging 32 shots against per game. That's mental. Those are Vezina numbers.
We have time for some Reddit questions. C Nods says, basically asks, at what point do we send out Abdelkader? He looks so out of place on the ice.
Oh, that time has already come and passed.
It won't happen.
It'll never happen now.
Also talks about how Lindstrom doesn't look out of place a few games in. Thinks it says also to expand further on Abdelkader, they're hoping that it would send a message to the team that no one is safe. It's just at this point, like, no one's going to claim him. Who would you replace him with? Literally anyone would be better. But at the same time, just because he has an A, it might not happen for a while. It might happen when there's people pushing on him, like what happened with Eriksson, because there's people pushing on him for that spot, but still. Dave Athor says lots of feelings after that game. Wanted to quote one of the commentators at the end of the Boston game because they found it funny. Detroit has won against the more prestigious team. That's rude. Mike Milbury constantly commenting on the fact that Joe Louis Arena was a dump. Shut up, Mike. It was our dump.
Should we count cups between Boston and Detroit? Okay, but Original Six doesn't, whatever. They're an Original Six team too. We're absolutely allowed to count that. Actually, you know what? You want to count cups since then too? Fight me, Bruins.
Lindstrom has been amazing, and in these few games has way overperformed anything I previously thought about him. Not sure if I want him up for the rest of the season because he is amazing, or down in 5 games because we need to protect him. What's your opinion on Lindstrom's play so far, and where do you think he'll play moving forward? I think he'll get a limited look and get sent back down, like Brad mentioned. Okay, time for some Twitter questions before we wrap up here. I know it's a little bit of a shorter episode, but funny thing, when not a lot happens, and it's still a touch too soon to really dive into our prospect previews, but we might just have to start soon if we're going that far deep. But we will start off. We had some questions. Oh, would you trade a first? No, hold on. Let me find this tweet. Evan, do a song and dance to fill the time.
No, thank you.
Why not?
No, thank you.
Unemployed Joe says, watching Buffalo still be garbage with 5 seasons of Eichel kind of has me worried about us, even if we do get Lafreniere. Please tell me why I'm wrong in thinking about that way.
Steve Yzerman versus Jason Botterill.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Steve Yzerman has made Tampa Bay into who they are, and that's exactly why you shouldn't be concerned. Al Robbins says, if we all get healthy at the same time and call up some of the kids from Grand Rapids, could this team win 3 games in a row before the end of the season? Yes.
Got pretty close to it this week.
Yeah, they might still do it. The end of the season is funny. I think teams have a fun way of kind of not caring towards the end, especially when they've locked up playoff spots. And when this new 2 versus 3 seeding, a lot of them don't matter for a long time. So
I don't know the exact order of the schedule, but I know there's Buffalo and Montreal coming up relatively soon. So
there's a lot
you're
of
ever going to do it.
There's a lot of must-win games in the Atlantic Division. So I feel like playing against those teams, it won't be a quote-unquote easier night, but teams do get a little lax at the end of the season.
Seider Salad asks, Edmonton lacks scoring wingers and can't win face-offs. Athanasiou and Glendening for a first and a third. Would you take it if you're Ken Holland, or would you do it if you're Steve Yzerman?
I would do it if I was Steve Yzerman, not Ken Holland.
I don't think I would do that if I was Ken Holland either, but it would be a nice deal. With that, we'll wrap up this shorter episode of the Winged Wheel podcast. We want to thank you all. Thank you all for supporting us. And again, if you guys want other ways to support us, listen to our closing the voiceover that we have. She'll give you great details. Subscribe on Spotify, subscribe on iTunes, leave ratings on both. Tell your Red Wings fan friends about this. Subscribe on YouTube. Check us out. We want to thank all of our name level sponsors: Ryan's Favorite Bastard, Arjun Shankar, Andrew Bohan, Scott Martin, Kayla Thompson, Mitchell Shinkowski, Bippy Boy 69, Jacob Turner, Matt McKay, Matthew M. Rice, Luke Johnson, Mike Reed, Ryan Lewis, Langabeer, Clayton Van Dyken, Kalen Wood, Hassam Al-Qassem, Charlie Elkins, Hannah Lee, Sean Levine, Connor Leighton, Danny Jr., Matthew Keeler, Craig Kibble, Rob Thiel, Simon Anderson, John Evans, Kay Waz, and Stan Olson. Stay tuned. We have a big 5-year anniversary giveaway coming up.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to check out wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find links to other ways to support the show, such as Patreon, official podcast apparel, and more. And don't forget to follow the show on Twitter at Winged Wheel Pod. And of course, the hosts at Brad Crisco, at Ryan Hanna WWP, and at Hockey Town Evan.